If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let us explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello and welcome to A Couple of Opinions. I'm Ebony and I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Ron and I use they, them pronouns.
That's it?
He, him pronouns as well.
Okay, and this is A Couple of Opinions. It's a podcast where we will just share our thoughts and opinions, our takes, our theories, and whatever else is on our mind about current events, trending topics, some pop culture stuff, because I love social media and I'm always on it. I'll probably bring in some Black Twitter topics as well, whatever I see on there, or whatever may spark in my head, and same for Ron. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but
yeah, basically, I'll be sharing my opinions about whatever trending topics we come across. There's a lot of things that I see that I don't have too much to say about, but there are some things that I do have a lot to say about. So, yeah, that's basically what is fueling us, and sharing, of course. So, and also getting feedback and connecting with people that also have some of the same ideas that we do, or just learning from each other. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely. While you were talking, I was just thinking that you're on social media, obviously, but you read a lot more than I do, and you read a lot of educational and informational texts and books, and engage with that kind of content. And I figured sometimes you would bring that stuff probably to the podcast too. So whatever, point is, we're just bringing whatever the hell we come across and we want to talk about. I do find often when we're having conversations, not about us specifically, or even when we're having conversations about us and our relationship, but when we're talking about whatever the hell's going on, I'm like, this is good content and we should be recording it. And I personally love content creating. I'm always let's record a video, let's record this, let's record that. And so I just one day asked Ron, do you want to do a podcast together? Because we've both done podcasts. I have a podcast, Raging Black Girl, that's no longer in production, but all of the episodes are still up if you want to find it. It's just Raging Black Girl, a podcast if you want to find it. Ron has done a couple of podcasts, actually, if you wanted to share those.
I have a podcast that's on Anchor, that's on Spotify. It's called The Box. All you gotta do is type in The Box. It'll come up on Spotify. And I'm also working on another podcast with a friend of mine that was a part of The Box, and some other friends of mine, a podcast that we're currently workshopping, and we're calling it Order of the Zodiac right now, and we're on stereo. So if you're on stereo, you can come and listen and join in that conversation. And to expand upon a bit about what Ed was talking about, is that I really feel like the conversation is the premier teaching tool, just having a conversation with, not even just teaching but also learning, both ways. And I think just having more conversation is ideal for growth. So that's kind of why I like podcasts, just so I can talk more with people and listen more to people, but the right people. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so this is our first episode, and we have some topics on paper that we're going to talk about, and the conversation will just go wherever it goes. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. So on our list of topics for today that we prepared to discuss, but again, of course, the conversation will go wherever the hell it wants to go. Ron brought up Doja Cat and just said her name, so I have a feeling I know where it's gonna go. But we'll just talk about her. It's May 31st, 2021, and today there's been some news that came out about Naomi Osaka and her participation in the French Open, and specifically with media interviews. Now, I don't do sports like that. Like, I love gymnastics. I watch it when it's on TV, and cheerleading. I watch whatever sport Ron is watching at the time, soccer, basketball, or American football. But I don't really know much. But we talked about it a little bit earlier today, and Ron had some really good points, so I thought to put that on the list. So that's what we have to talk about today, and again, it'll go wherever it goes. So, since Doja Cat is first on the list, you can just
go into what I was... Yeah, I don't know, man. Following Doja Cat's career, I haven't really done enough, research. I don't really look into her too much as an artist, but when I see her, it's always it's you can't really tell what's real sometimes with her. She's kind of in the same mode of a Lady Gaga. I find it so interesting. She's really trollish, meme-ish. It's a part of her, her character, her brand. The fact that the song that was her breakthrough song was the cow song. Mm-hmm. It's just everything about her. I mean, I feel now she's going into a different phase in her career where she's supposed to be a legitimate recording artist. But the troll is still there. The strange meme-ish, every performance that she has, you can't, what am I watching?
Yeah, not one thing is the same.
Yeah, that too. And nothing is ever the same. Everything is always, her music videos are all, super surreal. She has superpowers in all her music videos. It's just, they're always, she changes forms and turns it, we've seen artists like this before. I mean, a lot of artists use this kind of imagery and this kind of energy, but I don't know, I just find the lane that she's going through to be really interesting in the sense that she's unique in the sense that she's this internet artist who's going into being a legitimate mainstream pop artist that is I got 4 singles on Billboard and all in the top.
I mean, a pop star.
Shit. Yeah.
She's a pop star, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even really know how to... I'm trying to think of somebody to compare it to. Some things she kind of reminds me a lot of Tyler, and then some things she kind of reminds me of Gaga.
So, yeah, Tyler is definitely a troll. I think that's what I was getting. He's definitely a troll, but not in the same way that, Doja Cat and Lil Nas X are trolls on the internet. But he's definitely, He's like a delinquent. He's like a delinquent, but his artistry is very much I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. And he's definitely a lot more empowered and a lot more I'm gonna take control. He's also a man and has been perceived as a straight man for a very long time. We don't even know if he's actually gay. He could be bisexual or pansexual or something else. We just know that he has some sort of attraction to men. He's never elaborated on it, and he's not going to. And I think that's sort of something that him and Doja Cat would have in common, where it's y'all have all this perceived shit about me that isn't necessarily problematic, unlike the showing feet on cam to racist or whatever the hell was going on with that on Tiny Chat. But there's all these preconceived notions about me, and I'm just gonna let y'all think whatever you think. Whatever you discover about me is what you discover about me. When we all discovered that Doja Cat was fucking popping, locking and shit, and she's had so many lives sort of thing. She's popping, locking, and she has before Bitch I'm a Cow. I think I know 1 or 2 of her songs from before that blew up or whatever. I don't know the level of her artistry. I don't know if it was a Rico Nasty kind of thing where it's oh yeah, I make mixtapes and I make music and I have a core fan base, and then this one moment blew me up and now I'm on a different role. I don't know. I don't think so either, but I mean, whatever, that's that. But
I think she just got the attention from what she had released and then transitioned into a major artist. I think there's I don't that's off topic, how that phase works, but I think that's kind of what happened to her. I don't think she had a huge body of work. She wasn't somebody that had a whole bunch of mixtapes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think, is it her? Somebody that has songs on SoundCloud, and they're oh yeah, the SoundCloud music. I don't know if it's her.
I mean, there's a lot of.
There's a lot of artists with sound. Yeah, but I don't remember who the fuck it was.
It could be. I'm again before saying this, like I was saying before, my knowledge of Doja Cat is pretty limited. It's just that I just know when I see her, it's always in this vacuum and it's always really surreal, and then it's a little disorientating. And the focus is almost always on like this character that she's given to you instead of the focus being on to her as a person.
Right.
And I think that's what great artists do almost always. They give you like an alter, like this alter ego.
Yeah.
And
which I think is different from Gaga, who's like, I'm very connected to the art that I'm making, and like there's like I'm putting a lot of purpose into it, and not saying that Doja Cat's music is completely shallow and surface and has no purpose, but it's like when you see her, the person, it feels like a complete disconnection from like the music that she creates and the performances that she puts on. Yeah. And I don't know if that is intentional.
Yeah, I think it's definitely intentional. I know that I can't speak for Doja, but I've seen interviews where Gaga has verbally said, like, I intentionally make huge, like, these outfits, this imagery that I use is larger than life. It is to attract the attention onto that and not onto me as a person. It's always for you to be like, oh, what are you wearing? What is this? Like, you know what I'm saying? This visual, crazy, smart. You're getting attention, but the attention isn't really on you per se as a person. The attention is on what you're doing, and that's what you want as an artist. You want people to be paying attention to what you're doing, what you're going to be doing next. You really want to just capture people's imagination, and I think that Doja Cat is good at doing that, or at least her team is good at doing that.
Yeah.
Because she definitely has figured out this niche that, well, when I show up on award shows, it's going to be, the imagery is going to be like, what the fuck is this? What planet are we on? Where are we at? Like, all the time. Her music videos are always like, what is this? What planet am I on? It's never grounded in anything real. Nothing. Yeah. Think about other artists you see in their music, like, it's grounded in, like,
we're on a boat, we're on a plane, we're at a party, skating rink, we're in a relationship.
Exactly. Yeah. Something recognizable. Think about all Doja Cat's music videos. It's none of them are
no, it's
rooted
not.
in anything real, anything, and there's other artists that Tyler's kind of transitioned out of that, but now more so his stuff is all kind of like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think even with Our Future, they've always been like that, but they've always just been like those alt kids, like those weird, badass black guys that live in the suburbs who like do quote white unquote things, which is not really a thing, but like they skateboard and they wear like Vans and whatever the hell else like Our Future was doing. It was they were definitely like, I don't know, I was an Our Future fan for sure. And I went to their concert, and it's definitely like, it's like a fusion of a bunch of different feelings you can get from other genres, like mosh pit kind of shit was going on. Definitely like hip hop, and also just like the alt scene and all that kind of stuff, I guess. But I feel like Odd Future set the precedent for in this current generation, because of course, like, there's Parliament Funkadelic, which I'm not going to say Odd Future is the same at all. I'm not going to say the same. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like the weird black people, or quote what would be considered the weird black people, who are like really doing the damn thing and are really good at what they do, and are very much like, we have a message or a purpose, or there's an end game to this or something like that. Whether they think there's an end game or not, because Odd Future, definitely a whole bunch of fucking trolls. Like, if you just watch Lord of Squad, like, But I think with Doja, I know that from of course, on Twitter, people talking about, I think she's like in this new era for her music, which I'm assuming there's a new album that's probably going to come out within the next year or so. But something about like Planet Her, Planet Woman, whatever the hell. Something planet related to femininity, woman, or something like that. Like the Kiss Me More video, and just her recent performance where she was like abducted in the cornfield kind of thing, dancing with aliens and shit. I personally wanted her to give birth to an alien. Maybe that's on the way in a music video. That would be great. But she's definitely eclectic as an artist. It's just always, you never know what you're gonna get. And because I don't like watching people's live streams. I don't like sitting there on
live stream. It's not too many. I love Doja Cat's live. I don't want to say I love it, but I'm amused by it. Just because it's so weird. it's like some people's lives that you watch it and they're like trying to like, oh, I'm so cool.
Yeah, like,
or,
oh,
I'm doing this thing
yeah.
and I'm out and about. Doja Cat's lives are almost really weird. She's like will be eating like crackers or something, and like,
yeah, and then doing some weird fucking voice.
Really weird, yeah, doing strange voices and shit. It just amuses me because
yeah.
it's just
I feel like I just don't like live streams because there's so much. And that's why I don't like watching Versus, because it's live. And I'm like, I don't care about none of this dead air in the middle or any of this like awkward, like, just, I need it edited and I need it cut. And if Versus did that, they would like put it on YouTube. That would be perfect. That would be fantastic. Cut that shit up, edit it out. I don't want to see you like, oh, hold on, let me go get it real quick. Like, no, I don't care. I would rather like vlog, like, but Doja Cat and Ari Lennox, when she was going live, very interesting. And they're two different people, but when they get on live, they're just like her fucking hilarious. And it's a show. It's an actual show. It's not just like, yeah, we in here and whatever. Like, but again, I hate live streams. I really do. Although I watch Twitch. I watch Twitch all the fucking time. But I mean, they're doing something there. Mm-hmm. And it also, I watch a lot of VODs. Like, I watch the streams that have already happened. But yeah, she's an interesting lady. And I know like there was just a thread on Twitter that people like, so we just gonna forget about her like appealing to white supremacists or something like that. And it's like, I don't really care enough to look too much into it of like her apology. I know that she apologized and addressed it, and that there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, this was she wasn't framed. Like, I'm not going to say she was framed, but it was like misconstrued, or people lied about what actually happened or something like that. I don't know. But the thing is, when that shit came out, I was like, I'm not surprised by this, because she very much seems like that girl, that black girl, although she is biracial and raised by a white mother, I believe. And her dad's not really in her life. I think he's like this South African, like super famous artist who didn't really care to be in her life until she blew up. From what I've read, this is from what I've read, but like she definitely, I feel like I would have went to high school with her. The high school that I went to, I definitely would have went to high school with her. And she would have fit in perfectly. There wouldn't have been too much like, what the fuck is she doing? She would have fit in 100%, and it would have made a whole bunch of fucking sense. And I won't even say there were cool people at our school or popular people. There were pockets of people who were more well-known or had more friends in different circles, but I definitely could see Doja Cat having been a student in my high school and doing quite well in the social realm, but like hanging out with the white boys who like shoot snot boogers up in the air and then catch it in their mouth, and they all fucking laugh. Like, that's definitely the crew that I see her hanging out with. So that's why when they were saying that shit about her being on Tiny Chat and talking with racist people and like saying some real anti-black shit, I was like, I'm not really all that surprised, because I know black girls like that. And I've seen it and I witnessed it. So that's why it was really easy for me to believe that. But she came out like, nah, that's not true or something. I don't know. But again, I really don't care that much about it. And I am somebody who can get, or used to be able to get like really immersed and drawn in by artists. And I'm not so much anymore, because I can't care to keep up with people. Like even Kid Cudi, he's had like, I'm a big Kid Cudi fan. Huge. But he's been in movies and shows and I have not seen them, and I don't care to watch them, because it's like I'm only here for him. Like I don't give a again, like live streams, I don't give a shit about all the other stuff that's happening. I just want to see him. And if there's a YouTube video of someone who's like edited all these movies or anything that he's been in, and it's just blips of him, perfect, great, send it my way, please. But yeah, I agree with you that like every time you watch, like she is somebody to watch, and she's also very talented, and that's the number one appeal for me for her, is that she's super talented. She can sing, she has great lyrics, she can rap, she has a wonderful, like it's a bouquet of flowers, but she has a really excellent cadence when she sings or raps. Apologies for any stomping you may hear. We live amongst elephants apparently, but yeah, like the way she delivers lines and delivers, well, I guess, yeah, lyrics, whatever. The way she delivers lyrics, but also her performance is fantastic. And I think we're all just like, people are so enamored with her, Megan Thee Stallion. Who's the other girl? There's the top three. It's her, I mean Normani, if she made more music. But whenever these like women, these new women come in to the scene, it's like, oh, they're performing, I want to see, because they have stage presence and they perform very well. Like even Cardi B, like I don't even know if I can say I'm a Cardi B fan. I don't listen to her music. I don't have a choice to hear her music because it's everywhere. I don't hate her either. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah. But when like they have stage presence and they know how to perform and they give a show, like, first of all, there's choreography. Thank God, because nobody was doing choreography for a very long time. But there's choreography, they're dancing. You know, the music is different when they perform. You know, there's like I don't know if you call it a cover, but there's this different rendition, especially with Doja Cat. Like, she's performed a rock version of her music, disco versions, pop versions, even that Broadway cabaret one of whatever that medley of songs was. It's like, every time, like, you're going to get a show from these people, and then they put up these other fucking whack ass people after them, and they're just like sitting there not even singing well, not swaying a hip on beat or nothing. But it's just like there's a new era of, especially black women. I mean, that's all I really fucking pay attention to anyway. And queer people. Oh, Lil Nas X, yeah, every time. And this nigga too, every time he comes on stage, I mean, he is not a dancer like Normani, no. But he puts forth a really good performance. And I mean, out of everybody, it's like Megan Thee Stallion and him are the people that I really pay attention to. And I'm just like, wow, you're doing great. Keep it going. Like, you're doing such a great job.
I think she's the best right now at kind of doing that. And I'm just looking forward to see what else there is to come. I appreciate any artist that's like, I don't know, they're giving you a little bit more absurd, a little bit more surreal than they are giving you, like, realism. And I think that's probably the main thing that I like about Doja Cat right now. So I'm looking forward to see, like, what happens next. Will she bring something, like, new and exciting to people's minds and shit, like, you know. But, all right, so earlier today we were talking a little bit about... what's her name? Naomi? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Osaka? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just didn't want to mispronounce her name.
I don't know if it's Naomi. I feel like it's probably Naomi. I don't know, but...
So, basically, what happened with her again? Because I wasn't familiar with it, but I am familiar with the fact that a lot of athletes have been mishandled in these situations, like, for years now, like... Man, I can't even imagine how long, probably since like the 80s, where it's been like, where people have been verbalizing like, yeah, I need something else to do besides this. But if you wouldn't mind retelling that story that you...
So from what I understand, it's the French Open now, tomorrow, this week. I don't know how that works. Tennis, I'm very unfamiliar with. Like tennis and golf, I don't know what the fuck is going on half the time.
Tournament, so they probably scheduled it out different, you know, throughout the days. Kind of like how like the NBA playoffs are. So it's like just a series of games down the line of events.
Sort of like a bracket?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just that instead of it being teams, it's just going to be individual tennis.
Okay, so yeah, she was going to be the French Open. Obviously, because she's... I know that she's great because she keeps fucking winning. But she basically was like, I'm not doing any media interviews. And there's a very blanket statement. If you want to, know the ins and outs, you can go look it up yourself. Like if you just look up her name now on Google, I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this in real time. But, she was basically saying, I have anxiety and I get a lot of anxiety, leading up to interviews, and she's had depression since 2018, ever since when her and Serena went up against each other. And she's like, I've had a really difficult time. And, so she was basically like sharing those things between the first and second message that she put out, about this whole thing. But basically it's like, I don't have an interest, and I would like to not have to participate in media interviews before, after, during whatever matches. And the organization, I guess the French Open, or tennis organizations related to.
I don't know what the name of the I don't know what the governing body
Yeah.
of like tennis is. I think it's the World Tennis Organization. I think that's what it's called. But
Yeah, but basically they were like shaming her, like, you are abandoning your obligations of being, a competitor in this tournament by not doing these media interviews or whatever. And then they fined her $15,000, which I've learned from you is very common when, people don't fulfill whatever obligations are maybe in their contract in participating in the tournament or a competition or just being of that athletic profession. But yeah, apparently it caused a big stir. And then her second message was like, this wasn't my intention to, be a distraction or create a distraction or draw attention to me, which of course, like, she's like, I don't want to do interviews. And now all of y'all are like fucking focusing on me. Like, this is the complete opposite of what I wanted. And so long story short, she decided to just like not participate in the French Open. She pulled out herself because they were going to, I don't know what the word is, but they were going to be like, girl, you can't compete if you're not going to do the media interviews. And now people are coming up with a couple of funny memes where they're like, oh, if you're not gonna do the media interviews, you have to leave. And then they have the gif of LeBron grabbing his bag and leaving the media, one of his interviews. And it's like, well, bitch, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing it. And she is wealthy enough due to her career to be able to just like, I'm gonna sit this one out. And there's like a big conversation about, of course, mental health and prioritizing mental health, and when people have mental illnesses and disorders and such, like anxiety and depression and other things that can be really stunting, participating in whatever activity, whether it's an interview or a sport or something like that. And I know you were sharing that earlier and we talked about it a little bit, but it's like, you are to perform. That's it. Like, that's that's all we're concerned with. Like, you need to get on here. We need to pull ratings, or we need to pull, attendees, people who are going to come and watch this shit. However that works. I don't know if the French Open's televised. I'd assume so, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of the bigger tennis organizations.
Yes,
I mean, not tennis competitions. Yeah, it's definitely a common thing in sports, man. It's kind of crazy. It's like a meat market. It's but a lot of athletes sometimes they will like willingly go into fines. Like, they'll let whatever organization they're a part of know, like, no, I'm not going to do this. I mentioned before, I can't think. Marshawn Lynch. He was someone that kind of famously had like beef with the media for a couple years, and it was pretty out in the open. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to use him as an example, where he would just, well, for a while he was like just getting fined for doing media, like he wouldn't do it, and then he just started doing media and not saying anything, or doing media and just saying crazy stuff and just like antagonizing the press. Like, I mean, I don't even have to go into detail. The memes, the videos, the audio clips, they're all like goated. Everything, everybody knows. Why am I here? You know why I'm here, like that. I don't know if you're aware. Yeah, you know why I'm here. All this stuff like that. Where these. Most recently, it's been Kyrie Irving, who's somebody that has verbally spoken about his own mental health and how like being a big name professional athlete has affected his mental health, and he's been fined left and right for not doing media, not showing up, not playing games, this and that. And a few years back, there was a player, I can't think his name. He played for the Rockets, Royal something, or Reese, or I can't think his name. We'll have to look him up. But his story was crazy. He couldn't travel. He couldn't fly. He didn't like to practice. He wouldn't practice because he was anxious. He wouldn't like play games because he was so anxious. And they find him. But right now, I don't even know if this guy is playing professional sports. And it's just kind of crazy. Like, these athletes, we look at them, we put them on a pedestal. We see them as millionaires. We see them as like that they've pretty much got control of their whole fates. But contractually, that's not necessarily the case. Like, they've come out and said like they feel like slaves. I've heard stories, read stories where athletes are like, they just feel like they don't have their own agency. where they can't make their own decisions about whether or not they want to do something, especially those that struggle with mental health. And it's kind of a shame because I don't think the business that is sports, it doesn't necessarily have to be so like demeaning, like dehumanizing. Like it doesn't have to be that way. I'm not. It's just a. I think the capitalist nature of our world has like infected sports in that way, and it's kind of made people like less compassionate to whatever somebody's going through in that capacity. So, yeah, it's a thing, and it's a shame that you would think like a sport like tennis would have like a little bit more.
I would think a sport like tennis would have the same, I don't know what word to use, but like ballet. It's really restrictive. It's really harmful. It's really dehumanizing. It's really like all the isms and phobias. And I feel like, and because they're by themselves, like at least in sports like basketball and football and baseball, you know, there's a team where I'm not saying everybody gets along, it's all hugs and rainbows and butterflies, but it's like you have other people who are in the same exact experience as you, that you are all working together. Where in tennis, yeah, maybe you got doubles, but like for Serena and Venus, they had each other, so there was at least that. But with tennis and golf, like those are sports where they're very much like you're by yourself. And for somebody, I can imagine for somebody like Naomi, that like I can imagine like that shit's probably a fucking nightmare. She's like, I just want to hit the balls. I just want to use the tennis racket and I just want to hit the balls and I just want to go back to my room. Like that's it. I don't give a shit about none of these interviews. Like this is terrifying. I can imagine. This shit is terrifying. I don't want to talk to y'all. Y'all saw what just happened. Go watch the fucking match. Did I like whatever? And you can see whenever she talks, like she barely opens her mouth. And I don't know if that's just a her thing or how her face is made up or her jaw or anything, but she barely opens her mouth when she talks. Like she talks in a very like low tone and is not motionless. Like she doesn't talk with her hands. You can see she's uncomfortable at the least.
Kind of reminds me a lot like Kawhi Leonard. Like I don't know if you ever see him talk.
Yes,
before he
I have.
Kind of like kind of they used to call him like a robot and stuff. And I just think he's somebody that's not here for like the media, the circus, and just seems like a human being that's just very simplistic, kind of like one lane kind of person. And I think that's probably the same thing that's going on with Naomi, where she's just like, I love tennis.
You're like, man, I'm just here to play tennis.
Yeah,
all this other fluff,
I love
y'all can keep that.
Tennis allows me to be able to do, but I'm not really gonna be like trying to shred my psyche just to be able to do this thing.
Right, give you this interview that you really don't give a shit about. Man. You know, it's like, but it's sort of just like athletes are expected to be so much more than athletes. Like I am good at this sport, this skill that I have trained for, that I've, or I have a natural talent, whatever. But I'm good at this. Clearly, I'm getting paid hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars for this per year because I'm good at it. People want to put me on their cereal boxes and give me sneaker deals because I'm good at what I do and everybody loves what I do. Like nobody's watching me because I give interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in this age, like I can imagine in the 80s, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have YouTube, like none of that shit was around. But like I feel like now, and this is something that I was thinking about with Naomi specifically, it's like somebody put on Twitter, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, y'all couldn't have like had a written interview, or like there's no accommodations for a disability. Quite honestly, it's like this woman has something that is withholding her from fulfilling her obligations, and rather than y'all working with her, I mean, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but rather than y'all working her, like y'all couldn't email her the questions, y'all couldn't have just like a recorded, like a audio recording of a conversation and just edit it out and just like create an article. Y'all do it for magazines and newspapers all the fucking time. I don't understand why this has to happen. It's like y'all are making these people, after they perform, like use their bodies and exert energy, and on top of that, it's like I'm sure adrenaline's rushing, all that kind of shit. Like after they do this, you're expecting them to sit down and have just like a conversation about what they just did and what they want to do, when I could easily probably just tweet this shit out for fucking free and not even have to talk to y'all. So it's sort of just like, there's no room, there's no flexibility. And it's absolutely silly in this day and age how we've been in a pandemic and y'all found ways to still have fucking games happen and create simulated crowds, but y'all can't find no way to like interview athletes in a different format. Like, put me on Zoom. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just like there's no so it's like but no effort, but it's not about getting the interview. It sounds more like we're controlling you. Do what I say. We want you to do this fucking interview, so do it or get fined $15,000 and you can't play. And it's like, fine, bitch, I'm not gonna fucking play. Here's your little $15,000.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I mean, that's not low to me, but
because it's the same thing where it was in the NFL. It's just like people, they're used to people falling in line. You not doing this thing is just like a strike. Like, it's so preposterous. Like, what? You can't do, like, why can't you do this? Like, what?
Right.
You know what I mean? And if somebody feels like it ain't really doing too good for their mentality or their overall game, I mean, come on now. Like, there's these players, like especially her, she's an asset to not only to tennis, but to that World Tennis Association or whatever they're called. So you really want to like burn your greatest asset out right now, a young rising tennis star? Is that really how?
Right.
It just.
I mean, because
it just makes no. It makes no sense on a long term. It's just like the word I've used before was draconian. It just makes no sense. Like it's so harsh that it is devoid of reason. Yeah, I mean, other than I know it's all about contracts. Really, it's like you signed up to do this. You're supposed to do this many medias. You're not going to do like.
And she said, "Fuck." I mean, this is very much the fuck that job era, because I can imagine. I would hope that there would be because I mean, a lot of athletes make a lot of money. I don't know nothing about having a lot of money and how you manage a lot of money and what a lot of money gets put into. Like, if y'all got 80 million homes all over the place, then you probably don't technically have a lot of money, because the money that you have a lot of is going towards those homes and all that kind of shit. But I would hope that there would be like this huge wave of athletes across all sports. Like, I want curling athletes to be like, no, bitch, I'm not doing it. We're not competing. We're not here. We're standing in solidarity with whomever. Or, you know, I also don't know if there's unions in sports. I'm assuming not. Because everybody has an agent.
Yeah, they have unions. They have like player associate, like player unions, player associate. Usually each
sport.
Yeah, each league normally has, and I don't know if they all do, but I know for like NFL, they have the Players Association. The NBA, they have I forget what it's called. I want to say it's called Players Association, but I don't think that's what it's called. But they have the same thing in the NBA. I don't know if they have it in like soccer, but I know for sure in the NFL and the NBA, there is a group for the players. You can be a part of the Players Association or whatever, and they have like a lead head of the Players Association. I think the lead head of the Players Association in the NBA right now is Chris Paul. I don't know who's the head in the NFL. I think maybe like Richard Sherman or somebody like that.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I also don't know how unions work with athletes, but
yeah, it's supposed to. They're basically supposed to protect the interests of the players as a whole. So like, I use for an example, like a game comes out, the game has all the players in the game. You want to use a player's name, you're gonna have to meet with a rep from the Players Association to make sure that everybody is like in line, like everybody has their needs met to be able to have all these players from this league in this video game. Like, you're going to have these players' likeness in the game, then they have to, like, this is what we need. As a whole, as a group, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, like, how it goes. Whatever. Say, like, for an example, when we were deep in COVID and the NBA did the playoffs inside of a bubble, they had, like, a lot of, like, talks that kind of leaked between the players and the owners where, like, remember the story about...
The food?
No, not the food. The story about the police brutality and the players were like went on strike. That was like the players union as a group. They all came to a consensus
that they were gonna.
Yeah, that they weren't. So like going forward, no, could they get all on the same page about it? No, but it would have to be whoever the lead members of the group. Yeah, they pretty much represent the players on behalf to the owners. You know, when they have organizations and they make contract talks.
Okay. Well, go on strike. Stop doing things that you don't want to do.
Yeah,
and that's why I brought up having a lot of money. It's like if you have a lot of money to not play for half a season or something like that, you know, it's like.
But that's the thing though, when you are all grouped in and you're a part of like a union like that, I think it makes it a little bit difficult because everybody's supposed to be on the same page, right? So maybe there's a player who's like, oh, so-and-so make $100 million, but this nigga's got some spending issues. And for him to hit a quota in his contract to be able to get another $100 million, and maybe he's in debt and he need that other like.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know what it's like having a lot of money, so what like, that, you know, what them problems are.
Yeah, and some people aren't just gonna let that thing. Some people everybody's not going to always be on the same, and that's what.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also people who are like, I love being in front of the camera. I want to do all these interviews. I want to be on. I want to do everything. Like, I love every part of it, and that's totally fine. But for the people like Naomi, because I can imagine. I mean, I think I would do fine doing interviews, but sometimes it's like I'm tired. I don't want to fucking talk to y'all. Slapping what 15,000. I know it's 15,000. Here it is. I'm not doing this shit today. I'm not. I'm tired. Yeah. But it's like I feel like it's like we can't do this no other way. There's just it's sort of like y'all only have this because of me and other players like me, or because of tennis players, or because of basketball players, or football, whatever. Like y'all only have this because of me. And if we all again decide we're not doing this shit, what are y'all gonna do?
And that's where
there's never that thought because like you said, they're just used to people just falling in line. Like this is what is in your contract, and also like we're not going to negotiate this contract. I'm only doing one interview every 5 games.
I think there's a degree of, I don't know. I know it's different in different leagues. I know, like, for example, the NFL, you're supposed to do certain mini medias in that season. Yeah. And then, all right, say you go into the postseason, then it's like, it might be like different. Like, so contractually, it's all probably kinds of nonsense. And then what's keeping that change really is that everybody can agree. I think, in my opinion, it's kind of like it's like that mentality. So like say we got 7 people, everybody but 3 feel like if you have some kind of issue, you don't have to do media. Those 3 people are the ones that are like, so what? I do media when I don't feel good. I don't, you know what I'm saying? You got to win over those people's hearts. And sometimes some of those people, they're not bending no matter. It's like those old school people that are like, they don't care. Like, this is what it is, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what's expected of us, and this is what we're going to do. And they just don't have any lenience. Like, they just aren't. It's just not happening. It's not going to change. That's the same exact thing that what we talked about before about the Washington Redskins. Like, why is it so hard when obviously the name of this team and their logos and this team's history is based in like bigotry and like being like
genocide.
Genocide like. and insensitive to the plight of these people. Clearly, obviously, but to some people they're just not going to budge on it. Some people are like, that's that. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandfather was a fan of the Washington Redskins. Why my grandfather wouldn't approve of
like the fuck name. Your grandma.
Exactly. Like, so that's with a kind of like a rational person. But some people, their sentimentalities are based on these rules, these things. They matter to them, and they're not willing to budge on them. And when that's the case, that's where we reach an impasse where there can only be but so much progress that can be done. But I'm sure of it because I've watched the videos where there's these old coaches from whatever sport, they come up and they're like, yeah, this is it. This is what y'all got to do. And that's it. Like, no. Like, y'all not getting around this. That's it. It's the old guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the gatekeepers. Like, that kind of shit. Like, same thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm more proud of Naomi. I hope that you continue to not do interviews and continue to do whatever the hell you want and not,
And most importantly, those people that advocate for mental health, the more people that speak out and say like this isn't right, this isn't fair, then there's going to be change. There's nothing that can stop like a tide of people. Like if enough people were like, no, this is absurd. Like, this is absurd. I'm taking my money from the WTA and until this rule is changed. Like,
I was going to say, even if it's not, the athletes, the fans, like the people who watch like shit like basketball and stuff. Like, remember we weren't supposed to be watching the NFL because of racism, and then all of a sudden it was just like, the Super Bowl. It's just sort of like
it's always gonna be, for change to happen is always, especially within like some kind of organizational structure, it's always gonna be up to the stakeholders and whoever's buying into this shit, which is the customers, to be able to be like, no, I want something to change. And it's got to be consistent. There's got to be enough people.
Yeah, I think that's kind of difficult.
Because
I'm thinking about, like, I know so much about basketball players because that shit infiltrates into, like, my timelines of people I know. So, and it's like, I mean, athletes are demanded, or fans demand a lot from their favorite athletes and their teams the same way they demand stuff from music artists. Like, people keep bullying Rihanna. Well, not so much anymore, but they kept bullying Rihanna for this damn album. And it's like, first of all,
is that on your, did you want to translate? Was that something, a topic?
No, it's just related where it's like y'all are bullying this woman
we can transition because I do have it, but go ahead.
Okay, we can transition into this comment, but like do we want to?
No, it's the same. It's the same topic about like demand.
Yeah.
But go ahead, continue.
But I was going to say the demand in her, and it's like this lady has put out an album every year for the past 7-8 years, and she's taking a break to create other streams of income. What everybody likes to talk about and preach about, multiple streams of income, because music artists don't make the most of their money from their music. They make the most of their money from deals and touring and merch. And so this woman is creating, a skincare line, a makeup line, a lingerie line, a clothing line. She had that deal with Puma. I know she had them those socks with that same brand that Rob Kardashian had or whatever. And it's like, you're demanding so much of a person, and we forget that these are people just like us. Like, no, they're not just like us, where they're like living off of $20 for the week before they get their next paycheck kind of shit. But like, they are still people with, mental health issues and body issues. Like, maybe I'm bloated today and I got to do this concert, or I got to go play, in this whatever match, or like I have a lot of gas, or I was just really shook up by that last episode of Grey's Anatomy, whatever. It's like, these are still people, and that fans can really be demanding of who, whatever they're watching or consuming. And I can see the same with athletes. We're like, man, LeBron played a shit game tonight, and it's like, okay, well, he was gassy. Like, I don't know, but it's just like, I mean, I don't know if LeBron ever plays shit games. From what I hear, like, he's a god to people, but like. Okay, thanks. I know you tell me the truth, but people just and there's a conversation too. We're talking about putting people on pedestals, and people put all of these celebrities. And I also like, what is celebrity?
Yeah, I mean, idol.
Idolatry. Idolatry, is that what it is called?
That's like a whole. That's a big beast that I think is a part of something completely different. That's a huge thing. Like, but I do understand what you're saying. Like, what is celebrity though? Like, what is, like, they're literally called stars. It's so offensive to me. Like, when you think about, aren't we all stars? That's what
Smash Mouth did. No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, Alistair Crowley saw that. That's where they probably got it from.
Maybe.
But everybody's a star. They say that.
But yeah, I mean, the way that they demanded so much from Rihanna, when it's not even warranted, like I said, like, she's put out a lot of work. Normani, people are like, girl, where the fuck are you? And I'm kind of the same, not where I'm like, I want more, but it's kind of like, what's going on? And it's just, especially because we live in such an instant world where, like, social media is very quick. The internet's very quick. I mean, because those things are quick, everybody, like everything else should be as fast, you know.
Attention span,
Our attention span is getting shorter and shorter.
It's very short. So, and people consume everything much more faster. I mean, think about
like binge watching.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I keep watching the Great British Baking Show.
Binge watching, like now. I mean, think about. Could you even imagine maybe like 20 years ago, a season of a show coming out all at once? Like, that wasn't even a thing.
That'd be fucking crazy. Like, where would that even be hosted?
Yeah, like...
I mean, DVR wasn't even really that much of a thing. We had to record on VHSs.
Exactly. All at once.
VCRs.
And it's an adaptation to how we consume media, how we consume everything. It's just so much more rapid.
Yeah.
How we consume music.
I mean, even air fryers.
Everything. Oh, yeah. I mean, the air fryers.
Love me my fucking air fryer. Yeah, but air fryer, I mean, they're fast. I mean, that's why I like using it, because it's faster than the fucking oven.
Yeah. And we're all trying to get faster at everything constantly. It's the acceleration of everything, consciousness, everything. We're trying to do it faster. And it's not just, I mean, capitalism does put that strain on us where it's
absolutely
where it's very conscious. It's almost like it's like this, like the sword hanging over our heads where we have to produce and
even more so
absorbent rate, like
jumping time or moving forward, not moving forward in time, but like I'm just thinking about like scheduling stuff. Like you can schedule emails, you can schedule social media posts, you can schedule things ahead of time to already be like, you already have the next 3 steps before they even that day or time even comes.
Automation is the key of production. Like you can't produce anything at a high rate unless there's some amount of automation into it. Like that's straight. I mean, we learned that in the like Industrial Revolution. That's pretty much what the Industrial Revolution was, like to race to automation. So we still see that now with like everything that, you know, say if you're doing like how you in social media management, you're gonna have to outproduce the people that you might not be competing with, but technically you kind of are, because it's all about attention.
Yeah.
So you're going to be competing with other people.
It's nuts, actually.
So to get over that hump that you got to produce at a
more than the next person
rate, and the best way to do that is with automation. So that's why we have tools like that now. But
yeah, we're like I don't even know where I was going, but we're like in an instant generation, so it's like we want it now. Like, I want it now. I'm not going to wait for this. Like, can you, like, I mean, of course we can imagine because we lived it where we like, if you want a CD, you go buy it.
Yeah.
Before iTunes was even a thing.
Yeah.
And I never was into the iTunes. Like, I was the LimeWire kid, BearShare, Napster, that other one. But, like, people today who, Kazaa, yes, that's the one.
I never used nothing but Kazaa because that was the only one I felt didn't have a whole bunch of like.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I only used Kazaa. Like that was it.
I wanted to use BearShare, but there was like it never brought results. I would look up some Britney Spears.
Was trash.
Yeah,
like, I had used like
all of them.
Not all of them, but about like 2 or 3 of them, and that's when I settled on Kazaa because I realized that
I used them all. I had like all 4 or 5 open. I mean, Napster definitely went away. You know, that was the OG, but
it was a scapegoat, if anything.
Yeah,
they
were all still out there. Yeah, and they're still torrenting like sites and stuff. But I would have all of them open and just going back and forth. But I was thinking like that the automation and the instant thing and just like how things have to keep moving so fast, I think is what can be debilitating to so many people. And I thought about myself too, where it's like I feel like I have to constantly produce or constantly be working on something or constantly moving. And I also think it's the Aries in me too, where it's like I don't like wasting time, and I don't like idle time, surprisingly enough. So like we have this conversation a lot about me and how I rest or not rest, or how I fight rest, or I have just such a difficulty with it. And it's like, I don't like idle time. And that's why I don't like live streams either. Cause it's like, I don't want to see you sitting here. Like, do something, please. Like, you're wasting my time. But I think that now a lot of people are like that. Even people who grew up before VHSs, like who are still alive and on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they got Twitter, I think most adults have like Facebook and Instagram, and that's about it. Twitter's entirely too quick. And I think Twitter was the introduction to social media and how we interact with other being way faster, especially when it was just the 140 characters.
Yeah,
But
you're absolutely right. Some of the most like like rushing people I've ever met have been like,
it's like it needs to happen now.
Or 40-year-olds.
Yeah,
they're like older, but they're still kind of always like constantly rushing. But I think it's
a FOMO thing too, like a fear, like the fear of missing out. Yeah.
I think it's just that whatever reason yours is centered on is different. I think from person to person. But
absolutely,
it's a part of like the zeitgeist. Like it's just in everybody's mind. It's apparent. You pick it up. Like if you go to any major city, and you just are in the city, everybody's rushing around. I mean, of course, the city's busy. Everybody's working to sustain themselves within the city. If somebody's there, then they're probably working there, or they're living there. So of course they're going to be rushing around, right? But it's kind of the mindset. Like I gotta get here, it doesn't stop. It's always a subconscious thing. It's all in our minds. Like a child who has no idea about it could pick up on it just because their parent has that kind of energy, and then it gets passed on, and the kid, you know what I'm saying? Either the kid could. That's how a lot of people develop anxiety. That I think their parents maybe have that kind of like rushing and that in them.
It's gotta be now.
Like they're going, and the kid, it can make the kid anxious. Like some people don't even know how they could develop anxiety, but it could just be from being around someone else where they're just like, let's go, like all the time. They're on go, and that other person is not like really trying to go with you all the time. So
yeah, and I think it's also really weird, kind of, or it's just it's interesting how we can be like, I need this now, like I gotta see this now, like with award shows or even sports games or shows, music videos. It's like, oh, my music video drops out at 12 a.m. and be like, I'm staying up to watch it. And I'm like, I'm not, because it's still gonna be there. Like YouTube is not going nowhere for a long time. Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, it's not going nowhere for a long time. We're moving into a primarily streaming service household where people don't really have like cable. I mean, we have YouTube TV, like the family has YouTube TV, and there's unlimited DVR. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but if anybody's looking for like the best live TV option, I would say it's YouTube TV. It's $65 a month and you get hella channels. There's unlimited DVR, and that's the reason why I stayed with YouTube TV, because I was looking at Sling and it seems to be about the same amount of money per month, maybe even a little less, but there's a limited amount of DVR. With YouTube TV, I add hella, like I got SpongeBob and The Office, which is why I was impressed about The Office leaving Netflix, because YouTube TV, Comedy Central and Cozy TV, whatever that channel is, they show The Office all the fucking time. And when I add that show to my fucking list, it records every single episode that airs ever. And there's unlimited DVR. So I have an unlimited amount of shows I've never even watched. I'm just going to add this. And my point to that is, like, you have DVR, you have streaming services, YouTube, where you can make playlists of shit. Like, you have a watch later list or whatever. Like, there are so many ways for you to consume this media on your own time. And yet because we're in this instant, lifestyle, if you will, or this instant era, it's like, I have to see it now. I think there's that fear of missing out, because it's like, if I don't watch this show tonight, like Pose is out. I mean, I'm very behind. So if there's spoilers, that's my fucking fault, because I didn't even finish season 2. But, if you didn't watch the episode when it premiered or within the next hour that it premiered, you're going to get spoilers. You're going to have to mute it from your timeline or whatever. And it's just, and I mean, of course, if it's something that's really good, people are going to want to talk about it or whatever, but it's like, we have to watch it. I have to see it. And it's like, I'm watching Game of Thrones right now. One, I don't think I had HBO. Oh, no, I think my dad paid for HBO. I don't know, but I didn't have HBO at the time. And also, I just wasn't really interested in it. And people didn't seem to be interested in it until like the 3rd season anyway, from just watching the show and what was happening on the timeline and the time that people were talking about it a lot. But it's like, I'm watching Game of Thrones now, and I'm going to be just as disappointed with the end of the show as everybody else was when they watched it in real time. It's just that you can't discuss it with everybody. I don't know. It's just, it can be oversaturated and overwhelming to have to keep up with so much stuff. And I'm realizing that now. I feel like I'm yelling. I'm realizing that now, with even like social media management. Like I'm starting Raging Black Girl, the Instagram account, where I'm just doing the same thing that I was doing with the podcast, but just like very unstructured, pretty unfiltered, and just like whatever I want to talk about and put up. But I'm focusing more on like Raging Black Girl and Twitch, and also just like learning coding and web development, like my own personal passion projects, whatever the fuck people call it. Because it's like with social media management, when you were talking about that, it's just so overwhelming, and it's just like, it's too fucking much. Like I don't even have anything scheduled for it. Like I have a bunch of reels that I already recorded, but I don't want to use them all up because then I don't have enough content. So, but it's like with TikTok specifically, which is why I don't even take that platform seriously in terms of me creating content as of yet, because they're like, oh, with reels and TikTok, you have to post like 3 or 4 a fucking day, a day.
But think about how fast.
That's 28 posts a week.
How fast you go through TikToks. Like,
absolutely.
Think of you as a TikToker who's
absolutely. But like one person making 4, like when I do watch I'm yelling again. When I do watch people's stuff on TikTok, mostly cosplayers, and I'm like, damn, I just saw 10 videos of them in the same cosplay. And from researching for social media management and creating my social media management company, I know that batch creating, whatever the fuck the term is, but you create a lot of content at once so that you don't have to keep doing it. But even that is a lot. Like when I'm on Saturday, it's usually Saturday because Saturday is like the day I usually don't have much to do. You know, I gotta wake up, I gotta do my makeup, I gotta make sure I got everything together, I gotta set that shit up, I gotta have like 10 shirts and pants and like maybe change my lip gloss or something for each video so it looks like it's something different. There's so much energy that goes into that. And yes, it's better to do it that way and just have everything planned out. Like, dude, you could do that once a month. Quite honestly, just take a day and create content, but it's just so much. But the issue with doing that is if I create all my content in 1 month and then all of a sudden there's a whole new way that the platform's working and there's a whole new way that you need to be posting and there's a whole new like trend that's happening, and the one that you got planned, it doesn't matter anymore. You're not going to get no views. So it's like, people say like every 2 weeks, which probably is good, but every 2 weeks, that feels like it comes by so fast. So it's just like, I've not been putting as much, not thought, but as much work into one click because I feel like I'm at a point where I'm just like, it's too much noise. And I made a post in a blog post about that with one click where it's like, it's just too much noise. It's too much like, you need to be doing this. Hey sis, this is why you're not getting followers. You need to have it's just like, it feels like pop-ups. You know, every time it's like, there's like someone who's a baby boomer and they're on the computer and they click one thing, it's just everything just keeps popping up and they can't get rid of it. That's what it feels like. And it's just like, why are you making that face?
Because I'm feeling it. Like,
yeah, but that's what it feels like. And it's just like, I don't want to, and I'm very much the person, and you know this about me and witnessed it, where it's like, I'm just not. It's either 0 or 100. I usually don't have anything in between, and I'm trying to work on that. But it's like, I'm either going to be all in and super like immersed in it, or I'm just like pulling myself all the way out. And that's how I'm feeling right now. And I'm really trying to talk to myself and be like, no, don't give up on it. Because that's an Aries things too, where we're like, get really amped up about something, and then it's like, all right, well, that's it. I never finish anything. But like, I'm really trying to just like, it's just going to ebb and flow with it. But that's what social media can feel like a lot if you're not able to keep up with it in terms of just what's happening and not really contributing to it. And that's why I'm really excited for what I'm going to do at Raging Black Girl, because it's like whatever I want to do. I don't care about nobody's algorithm. I'm not even really using hashtags for stuff. I use a location because I just feel like it just looks complete that way. But I use the state as a fucking location. I don't use a specific city, so it's not really pinpointed. But it's like, and this is very personal, but I just want to let go of all of those restrictions that I put on myself, but I also feel like are also out there in terms of content creation specifically. And I guess this can circle back to like the whole athlete, celebrity, like whatever all that is, but it's like, there seems to be a good amount of artists who are like, I'm doing what I want to do and I'm going to make it the way I want to. And I'm not going to let how this industry operates make that happen or make me work. Because I'm thinking about like Beyonce, who she sort of created the like surprise drop of stuff. So now everybody wants to do a surprise drop, or everybody wants to, you're sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to see whatever I'm going to do next. And I can imagine, like, even with how I feel about social media management, I can imagine with artists, especially, like, I'm thinking about Tinashe, who was waiting to just be done with her label to be able to be independent, and still isn't even getting the attention that she deserves, because she's fantastic. She's great. But, like, having to keep up with what's going on, so that, I mean, because this is still a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are like, this is my artistry. This is, but it's still a job. And I still need to make a living off of it. So it's like, what is that balance between my own, and not me specifically, but my, as if the athlete, the artist, or the even the CEO of this tech company, whatever, like, what is, like, how do I, well, maybe not a CEO of a tech company, because that's very different, but be able to do what is genuine and authentic to me and for me and what I want to create, but also meeting that demand from either my audience or just an audience, where it's like, we don't have enough pop stars or black pop stars, or we don't have any black rock artists or anything like that. So it's like, how do I fill this? I have to get there first. And like you were saying that before, it's like, what did you say before? About like just getting there first.
Oh yeah, we were talking about demand, how like society, I feel like I don't even know if I can say society, but yeah, modern society is constantly trying to push the envelope as far as rate of everything, rate of creation and rate of consumption.
Yeah.
So
it's like, you haven't seen that yet, and it's like, no, bitch, I haven't seen it.
I wanted to say that too. I'm like, I mean, I don't know if you know this about me, but most, like, my friends know that I try to consume everything in a vacuum. I can't. Yeah. I'm not somebody that, like, when something comes out, I'm gonna like rush to watch it unless it's something I've been waiting for, and even then, I'll kind of watch it on my own pace. Yeah. So I think that's the key though, like, to all put everything together as far as like whether you're creating or consuming, whatever, to find a way. And whatever way that is, I think that's different for each person, to give yourself some kind of agency where like you're not just being, where you're not just falling victim to whatever forces you are working for, whether it be like your audience or whatever it be like some kind of organization or some kind of like corporate entity or something like that, where it's not pushing you along. Instead, you know what I mean? You're fueling that, and you're not letting it just string you along. I think something I was gonna segue this into what have we been watching, but to use that to say this, one of the shows that I've been watching a lot, one of the main themes of the show is people just being victimized by whatever force they're part, like whatever business they're a part of, whatever, they're just being eaten alive by it instead of controlling it. And it's not always easy to control like a whole bunch of people or like to, but I think that's the gift of what being an artist is, that connected back into the music artist point, is that just like a music artist makes music that influences people to like go along with the music, I think the job of the artist is to like influence culture in a subtle way. So that artist, whoever they are, whether it be like, or whoever that creator is, whether it be an artist or social media manager, you're going to have to find some kind of way that whatever thing you're a part of isn't
consuming you.
Yeah, beating you into doing it. Instead, you're beating your own drum. You're beating your own drum, and you're creating the force to move you forward. I think like that's pretty much it. And it's got I think a lot of it comes from like contracts. People get caught up in contracts. Yeah. They aren't educating themselves. And it's a lot of legal jargon in it. And they're educating themselves. But I personally think I'm not so intimidated by the acceleration of everything because from my perspective, I think that everything is naturally supposed to accelerate, like decelerate and accelerate, whatever. But if it's causing you anxiety and you're like falling apart in the process, then that means that it's not healthy and it's not coming from the right place that you need to be in to move at that speed.
Yeah.
I think the key is for each person to find what for you will help you move in at that rate.
Yeah.
And is it for everybody to move at that rate? No. But there might be a thing for you that, you know, you will create something at either a rate or like where it's so impressive that people forget about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's use some of these artists that you mentioned before where like they're taking a lot of time between their music. Really, they're already goated. Like, in a sense, they've already done what they were supposed to do in the industry, and they can really take as much time as they want. Yeah. Even though people will complain about it, really. Yeah. But
like Frank Ocean.
Yeah, I was going to use Frank Ocean as an example. That was who I was going to say. I think Rihanna's a great example too, as well, where like they're goated in their lane. They've created something, and they'll create something that people really should be picking at for years. Like, some of these things that artists create, some people don't even really fully understand it. They consume it, like they listen to it, they absorb it, but they don't fully understand it, and they're not ready for the next thing when really you should have been spending more time on whatever that is.
Yeah, because I didn't listen to Channel Orange for a whole year, like until a year maybe after it came out, or sometime, a very long time after.
I think that's a good way. I didn't really listen to it.
Because I feel like Frank goes through eras too, and not for real, but like every album's very different from my ears. So like, you know, we were listening to Nostalgia Ultra and also like his Lonnie Bro stuff. And that is a very different sound than what Channel Orange was, which is in the next album. What was that? Blonde? Was it Blonde? I don't know what the fuck was next because there's so much time in between, but that is a very different album than Channel Orange.
Yeah.
And very different from like the singles he was on. Like he, you know, so it's like
Frank only has 2 studio albums.
Yeah. So it's like they're so different in what I would have been expecting and what I do enjoy from him. Like Blonde isn't something that I really enjoy. It's not bad, but I don't really want to listen to it because it's not what I like from him. But it's like it took me at least a year from listening to Nostalgia Ultra, a year after Channel Orange. I don't know if it was really a year, but a very long time, or what felt like a very long time, because it could have been 6 months. But because everything is so accelerated, as you're saying, it felt like a long time. But anyway, I had to adjust, and I had to let that album marinate. And I mean, it's an album, it's music, whatever. But sometimes, like you said, people need to sit with stuff. You need to sit with it and actually, you know, because and there's like new songs, even old shit. Like there's some Britney Spears stuff that I listen to. I'm like, this is a good fucking song. And it'll be like the song I'm listening to forever that I ain't paying no attention when it first came out 10, 15 years ago. So it's like.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. I think music, I think we're really essentially all our arts, like the visual mediums and shit, like film and whatever, people aren't consuming them how they supposed to be. Like this shit is supposed to, some of these people are putting a lot of thought into the arts that they're doing,
and we're just watching it quick.
It's been bizarre. Like I don't know, I probably was like in high school when I started to notice that. Like I would be listening to music and I'm like, I don't think these motherfuckers think this song doesn't mean what we think it means. And people just, you know, you just eat it up and you just keep on moving. And people
are real quick to like think piece and like dissect something as soon as they hear it. Like I remember when pyramids came out and everybody was trying to figure out what the fuck the pyramid was. I was like, oh, the pyramid is what the sheets make when the man has morning wood, or the pyramid is like the angles of the stripper pole, or the pyramid. Like everyone was trying to make up what this fucking pyramid was. And it's like, just listen to the fucking pyramid. Just listen to the song. Just listen to the song. Like and you know, people talk about this now and complain about it now. It's like, just enjoy it. Just listen to it. Just watch it. Just read it. Whatever it is, just read it. I mean, there's stuff like pyramids where people like, just listen to it. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Was there even ever a music video?
Yeah, I think that's really what. No, I don't think pyramids. That's what music.
I mean, he can still make it. And that's the thing too. Like he can make that video now if he wanted to.
There are artists that do that. Yeah. That's the thing about music. I think it's really personal. It's supposed to be like you listen to it in a vacuum. I feel like that's definitely, even though there's cultural references and songs, there's always like, it grounds itself in your actual real life.
You got Genius for that now, where if it's a cultural reference, you can go find out what the fuck they're talking about. another thing. There's resources where people are decoding this stuff for you.
Yeah.
Like the actual person who made this art.
I think people are way more aware that things are loaded and coded more now, but still, man, just what I was going to bring up earlier was the story that I had brought up in the other. I think we're planning on bringing it up in the other podcast, but there's this graphic novel artist who recently just died, and some people attribute it to the workload that he as a graphic novelist, who's somebody like in Japan, like they make manga and they make them weekly. So these artists are making
That's crazy.
they're making like 20, 30 page books weekly, full of panels, detail art. Like they have teams, they got help, but the demand that's on them. Also, I just recently, there was a story about the creator of this anime Attack on Titan, where like he's getting a lot of backlash based on the ending of his book, and as opposed to the ending of the anime or whatever, and a lot of storming. But it's the same thing. It's like people consumed it so quick, and they're like trashing this guy, and they want more from him. He's actually supposed to be like making the changes in the animation for like what he want, and they're supposed to republish the manga, but with a different ending or something. But again, that's another situation where it's like this high demand are on these people to create whatever their art is. It's like they're trapped in it. Like, it's crazy. And then for someone to die like that, you know what I mean? Like that's crazy. Like that demand.
And that was something I was thinking about too. How this need I guess this need to continue to produce work, content, whatever, on such a quick turnaround is shortening our fucking lives. Like we're putting so much energy into this shit. And for what? For people to pick it apart and then move on to the next thing. When it's like you can take your time and they'll still pick it apart and move on to the next. Like the same thing will happen.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And it's again, contracts, but like beside contracts and everything, you know, it's like it's nuts. It's actually nuts.
If you put somebody in an inhumane contract for them to churn out a certain amount of body of work that it's like it's gonna take years off of their life, then it's crazy. That's insane.
And we don't have to do this shit anymore. Like I'm thinking about Tina Turner, like that music era, how they'd be like, we was doing like 16 shows a night.
Yeah,
and
because that's what they were making their money from.
Hell, people was hyped up on coke to be able to even do that. But like, and not everybody was.
Their contracts were screwy, so they weren't getting a percentage on record sales, and they weren't getting this percentage on spins. So what were they getting percentage on? Shows. Yeah. So and I'm losing money even with the shows. I'm probably giving up a percentage to this person, this person. Yeah.
The manager,
but
band,
the bulk of my money, like if I want to live a lifestyle where it's like I'm a multi-song music artist, then I'm gonna have to do these shows, bro.
Yeah. It's trickling. I mean, everybody's like, oh, you have the same 24 hours with Beyonce, and it's like, no, I don't.
Oh, no,
I don't because I don't have any of the resources that woman has, and I don't have the same job. I don't have the same desires. I don't have the same work ethic, and I don't want it. And I want her to calm down because, and I think she will eventually, because she's been working nonstop since she was like, I don't know, walking. But it's like we don't have to do this anymore. Like it's not the 70s. Everything is so instant. Like you can get paid for doing anything too. There's so many ways to get paid, so many ways to get monetized. Like you could just start up a fucking podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like people can just Patreon, Twitch, like all this shit. Like you're able to make money off of your own craft, but that like workhorse ethic is trickling down into us regular ass common folk, where people are like, you need to have this many streams of income and build generational wealth, which sure, absolutely. But it's always just said, like, just shout it out. Like, there's no, like, actual, like, this is what generational wealth actually is. It's not just, like, I make a lot of money and I pass it on to my kids. Like, that's not what that means. Like, I mean, people are all talking about, like, stocks and bonds and credit, all that kind of stuff. But it's, like, there's just this, like, we don't have children. Babe, we don't have children right now. And there just feels like this push where it's, like, somebody who's single, has no prospects, probably won't have a couple prospects in a couple of years, is like, I need to build generational wealth. And it's like, are you planning on making another generation? And again, I feel like there's that fear, that FOMO. And I don't even know if you call it a fear of missing out. I mean, I guess you could, but it's like, I can't miss this train. Like, everybody's talking about financial wealth and financial freedom or whatever buzzwords people are using. And it's like, I'm not saying there is no, like,
with somebody,
there's definitely legitimacy to all of that, but it's just like, they're incomplete TED Talks, if you will. Yeah. But it's like, it's trickling down where people like, it's like, I'm trading Forex. I have my own business where I mount people's TVs. I also do landscaping. I also milk cows. And it's just like, people have, and it's really cool, the breadth of of the diversity of people's skills and trade. But it's like, aren't you fucking tired? It's like, rest it. And I'm really trying to really embody that, like, rest is productive. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if you got 7 streams of income if you die before you even make the money that you want to, because you can very well work yourself to death. And I don't think people understand that. And I think that circles all the way back around to, like, Naomi. I'm not doing these interviews. It shoots my anxiety up to the fucking moon. And I'm sure that's I know it's draining. I know that's exhausting, and I know that's draining. I'm also exerting my body. I am selling my body to this tennis organization, for this fucking sport. Like, I'm using my fucking body. Like, sports is horrible on the body. Dancing is horrible on the body. You're just like forcing and grinding your body down for whatever the sport or performance is. And it's just like, we don't have to do this shit anymore, people. We don't have to do it anymore. We don't have to continue unless you want to, unless you're like, I want to do this. But it's like, the demand can be dangerous and shortening our lives. And it's like, I mean, I don't know if I want to be on earth for a huge long amount of time. I don't want to be like 99. But I don't know. But I want to,
You want quality of life. That's the key.
And I want to enjoy it.
Yeah. And that was, you're absolutely right.
Like, I always talk about how I want to look back on my life and not be mad that I spent so much of it
doing something.
Doing something I don't want to do, or not even that, or just doing something in the way that I don't want to do it. And I talked to you about this. I'm yelling again. I talked to you about this about like working out and food and all that kind of stuff. And I keep going back and forth with myself about, like, I need to lose this weight, but it's like, lose it quickly for what? Like, for what? What is the deadline for? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm gonna get there. Yeah. I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you want to do. I think this also connects to the same thing as what we were. What I mentioned before about not letting whatever thing fuel you and you whatever, but you'll reach what you're trying to get to, and you'll likely reach it faster by just
doing it,
and not letting that self-talk be the thing that fuels it, like where you're rushing to get it done, because again, that just shreds your psyche along the way. You might get it done, but you're going to be complete, like, rife with anxiety the whole time because you're trying to bring about something faster and faster and faster, instead of, like, being propelled by that mentality. Instead, be propelled by something else. So, like, I think that's like about like a conscious choice kind of thing, but we don't often make those. We don't make a conscious thought about what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, like when we do something or when something is going on,
Very
I
reactive.
think that's reactive. And I was going to use that word, but I didn't know if, like, it would fit. But instead,
I think everything we're talking about is about reaction.
Yeah,
or being reactive.
Yeah, and that's funny because I wanted to bring up that point for this about, like, how people in general, we kind of have to get away from being reactive, like, all together. If we're doing anything that's too reactive, it's likely we're not in a place of power. A lot of times, like, when something happens, you just gotta watch the thoughts that are in your mind in pursuit of a thing. You gotta pay attention to, like, what you're doing and why you're doing it. What is fueling you to do this thing?
Yeah.
So, like, somebody, for example, can do something that's great, But if they're fueled by a whole bunch of crazy negative thoughts, like maybe jealousy or like over competition or some kind of shit like that, yeah, you might accomplish it, but you're like locking in those thoughts, those habits of like that way of thinking. You're making it really solid. Like you're making it like, so that means that if you do accomplish the goal and you go forward like with your fitness, it's likely that you might still be in that same place. That's that energy that's going to be fueling you, that rushing, that that. Instead, it could be something fun, which is what, I mean, I'm more familiar with working out and stuff and playing sports and shit like that. So for me, it's almost always going to come from a place of fun, because when I started doing it, it was from a place of fun. Right. So I'm always returning back to that. And that's why I'll be telling you to consciously choose your thoughts about the things that you do, because those thoughts will still be there when you go to do that thing. You're basically like, you're building a thing physically, but you're also building a thing mentally with the thoughts that you choose when you do that thing. Yeah. So like, to bring it full circle and we go back to Naomi, Naomi's got her anxiety, right? And she's feeling some kind of way about what's going on within the sport that she loves. It's likely she'll do an early exit. It's likely,
that's what I was thinking too.
She'll be a shooting star. She'll make her money and then invest into something else and then move on about her life because of...
It's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun. The feelings that fueled her to become a great tennis player were feelings of, I'm enjoying this, or like, I want to make my family proud, or I want to be on the same pedestal with my heroes like Serena. Yeah. I want to do that. Those are the things that make stars. Like, you can see, that's what makes sports great, is not so much like, oh, the accomplishments, is what the thing means to that person and why they do it. Yeah. So like, you'll watch a sport and you'll see this person, he did this, he just beat this team, but he did it from a place of like, all these years when I was growing, this is my greatness, this is me achieving it because I've been thinking up to this day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you lose that when people start, that shit's a superpower. When you lose that golden ball of like love of a thing, it's pretty much lost. Over. It's pretty much over. It dissipates and is destroyed. So that's why when you work out, I'll be trying to tell you, like, make sure it's not coming from a place of like like my body, you can do it. Like, I've been in that mind space where like,
because it's not motivating. My body. It is not motivating. It's just exhausting. It's exhausting, and it's counterproductive. It creates this emotional soup of like, and it eventually turns into self-hatred. Like, it's this weird chemical thing of like being highly productive, but also kind of like hating yourself. Yeah. And I've kind of experienced that feeling before, and it can work. It's very powerful. It's super powerful. If you think about it, and we look out into the world, you see it a lot. Like, athletes that are like self-destructive, like, why is this person doing this thing? But they're great at this thing. Yeah. It's because a lot of the thoughts and whatever they were trained, whoever trained them and raised them, they honed within them this hyper efficiency, but also this rigid thing that kind of makes them like hate themselves. Yeah. Like, it's like, and one of the things I did want to talk about was what we were watching, which is Castlevania. But it's like, we can segue in that. But it's like Isaac at Castlevania. He was so... He's very effective, super effective. He does his job great. Isaac's the black guy. Yes. He's very effective. I know.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's super effective, but for all intents and purposes, he has no self-value. None. And then when he got to a certain point in his life where the person that he probably loved the most casted him out and saved him also at the same time, it had caused him to look at himself in a certain kind of way where it's like, the fuck is going on? I was going to throw my life away for this motherfucker. He just threw me out. But he saved me, and now I have to look at why he saved me. Like, he took that journey, and then now he's developing a certain amount of agency about making choices. People that have trouble making choices, a lot of times there's like this kind of like, they're stuck. Like, there's this a certain amount of like, I'm not worthy or something. Like, he had no agency. Now he's making choices. Now he realizes that he can make choices, and then he realizes that his choices change the world. Now he's like, oh, I can do whatever I want. Yeah, I can make these choices. That's what It's always it's simple. It just comes through these thoughts. It's really simple thoughts. Like it ain't nothing new. It ain't like nobody can teach anybody any different about these kind of things. It's pretty simple. And it all starts with like the thoughts that you have in your head when you're doing something. So yeah, we could just use that to jump straight into the next subject, which is shows we've been watching. We can share with our listeners everything that we've been watching as of lately. And I guess I could just start with Castlevania, which is probably the last thing that I watched that I really liked.
So you're telling me you haven't been liking the Great British Baking Show?
But we've been watching the Great
No.
It's not a new
I'm
thing.
joking.
We've been watching the Great British Baking Show. I don't know how long.
We will always be watching it as long as it is available.
On Netflix, yeah. Or on some kind of platform.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. Yeah. But yeah, Castlevania, I liked it too. The ending is very fuzzy for me, and I don't know if that's just my brain, but a lot of things that we watch, I'm just like, I don't even know what the fuck just happened. And I just watched it. But I do remember the very, very end of it.
A lot of the stuff that we watching,
spoilers ahead.
They like, it's kind of, the endings are a little common. There's a lot going on at the end of some of the things. So I can see why.
Because you were mentioning Isaac, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck happened with him.
He attacked the vampire. Remember he fought?
Yeah, he made all them little creatures.
Yeah, he fought Camilla and then dealt with that.
Yeah, and then the sister burned herself in the sun.
And then that's pretty much it. Well,
see, he doesn't even get what happens? Does he die? Like
more? It's not over.
I thought it was over.
He said that he basically said his plan was to take the war. That was pretty much it.
I thought Castlevania was over.
This season is? I don't think it's over. Is it over?
Oh, they're gonna make a season 5?
I doubt that they're gonna end it. So people like.
I don't know where I got that idea from. I swore like it was like Castlevania's over after like this is the last season. I'm gonna have to Google it.
I wouldn't think so.
I'm gonna have to Google it.
People like it.
I hope not because there's a lot of stories that are like
nobody died. Like everybody, right. Yeah. Well, not yeah. What's the name? Didn't die.
Well, a lot of people did die, but nobody in the main cast didn't die.
Trinity, they didn't die.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Although it was assumed.
And fucking Dracula didn't die. And his wife.
No. Oh yeah.
They came back.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So that's why I was like, I don't
tell Alucard when he's ready. Like
yeah, I was just kind of like
300 years from now we'll pop up and be like, hey, I was like, son,
so this is it. Okay, so I don't know where I got that from because I was just
and they're all going to live together. They felt like the main issue was dealing with the people who had business with Dracula, who were anticipating, and that person was that weird entity that was calling itself Death, when it really wasn't Death. It was just some kind of spiritual being that been vampire, feeding off of the deaths of people for generations. And he defeated that. But then what's the name, killed Camilla. So it's like
she's not
there's not those major threats until
but Isaac is the new threat.
Is he? He's a rational bro. I don't know. Is he? He might take.
He says he's gonna take over the world.
Yeah, he did say that. He did say. Is he gonna? I don't know. Is he gonna like? What's he gonna? Is he gonna just run around killing people? I don't think he's gonna run around killing people.
I don't know. He seemed to be doing that.
He killed Camilla because she was a threat.
Right, but on his way there, he was killing everybody. Yeah,
because he was a threat.
I guess so. He was just running through towns and just had his little monsters. Whatever. It's a good show.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's clear that either they paid them a lot of money or they really care about making great animation, because all the fight scenes were animated like crazy. Some of the best animation I've seen outside of like something that's Japanese or at a Japanese studio made it. It's kind of crazy, like the art, the fights.
A Japanese studio didn't make Castlevania?
They probably did. Yeah, but I don't know. A lot of
that's
people
an assumption that
kind of discredit.
That could be problematic.
It could have been a Korean. I didn't look. I didn't never look. I'm not familiar with what studio. We were in my other podcast, Order of Zodiac. We did talk about studios, like actual animation studios, in our last episode. So if you want to learn more about animation studios, head over to Stereo, listen to it. But I'm not familiar with the the studio that does Castlevania. They could be like Korean or something.
And you know I'm not, so.
But a lot of people discredit like Netflix animation. Like,
they do. So you know I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, like somebody's auntie, and I don't know if it's like it's men in the group, so it's not the Black Girls Anime one, but there's like this.
Talking about men gatekeeping for.
No, not even men gatekeeping. I mean, yes. But people who are like, if you watch Netflix anime, like Netflix original anime, it's not really anime. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding of what anime is, it's literally just the Japanese word for animation. Mm-hmm. So anything can be anime technically, but it's not. We know that it's a specific genre.
No, I mean, it's... You
like, is SpongeBob called anime in Japan? Like, if SpongeBob comes on, they're like, oh, it's SpongeBob anime.
I think it's just a matter of, like,
that probably sounds stupid.
You're right. It's like there is like a cat, like what was it, like a damn, I can't think of the name. The genre, there's genre tropes and shit that are part of anime, but really what makes anime is just like it was made by a Japanese studio.
Okay, so then like, SpongeBob would not be called anime in Japan,
based studio, or if it fits those tropes that make up what anime. So like the look of it, whatever. Yeah, but even then.
Because they say like Avatar: The Last Airbender is anime-esque.
Yeah, but it's
because it draws. It's not anime. I know that's not anime, but like, or the genre of anime.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just like this conversation where it's like, if you watch Netflix original, not like Seven Deadly Sins is now on there or something like that, but Netflix or anime that is produced by Netflix is not real anime. And if it's your favorite, then you don't really like anime or some bullshit like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. People just be kind of assholes about that kind of shit.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not a secret that Netflix makes some shit shows. Yeah. That's just kind of like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. Which are usually like the real people shows, not necessarily their cartoons. Yeah. But most of the time they get it right.
Yeah, they have genuine Japanese made.
Yeah. I mean, they made that Death Note movie, which we have not watched, and everybody says it's horrible.
Well, that ain't got nothing to do with anime or Death Note. That shit didn't have nothing to do with either of those things. But I would say Seven Deadly Sins. I would think that that's a genuine anime. Like it's based off of a manga, Japanese manga. It's made by.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really read too much into it. It was too many fucking comments. And I don't know if that's what they were saying or if it was like some meme that they shared, like, trash. What are your thoughts?
This is just trash.
And everybody just shared whatever they thought.
Like,
but
hyper.
Just being gatekeepers and trying to still feel super special about stuff.
Yeah, like trying to do that Big Brother thing, like where you didn't know anything.
Like when Michael B. Like, right.
Anime. Like, it's like the guy from The Simpsons. The guy's like,
oh, yeah.
You don't know anything about comics. You never read Captain America issue 343. No, but I've watched all three of the Captain America movies. I pretty much get like
the gist.
Yeah, like yes.
And it's like in the grand scheme of things, does it fucking matter?
No, am I aware that Captain America got turned into a werewolf one time? No, I'm not aware of that. Like, do I need to know that to appreciate the character and have like a connection with it?
No.
With the story,
did that really happen?
And the themes? Yes, he did get turned into a
Well, I learned something. I don't really give a shit about Captain America too much. His name's Captain America. That's enough to just have me not interested.
Oh, Steve's alright. But again, these characters, they have so much like
and that's
history.
So fucking random.
Yeah, it is random. But that's how old comics.
But is that like part of the because I also know that there's like this is the like main story, and then there's like, hey, we're just gonna make this whole other
universe.
Thing.
Yeah, no, it's canon. It was canon. Yeah, very like.
That's interesting.
Marvel
so were there vampires? 90s. Were there witches?
Yeah,
were there mermaids?
Marvel is rife with vampires. You know Blade. They got the.
I do know Blade. Wow,
the Mobius movie that's coming out soon. You don't want nothing to do. That's just Jared Leto. You don't want nothing to do. It's gonna be like.
Jared Leto. Every time I say Jared Leto, I think Jared Leno, and I'm like, I'm like, what?
Two names that just randomly.
It's just one letter difference.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like just character Mobius, living something. What is he called? The living vampire, I think he's called. But like he's a vampire, but he got turned into a vampire through like some kind of chemical thing that happened. I can't remember what's Mobius' backstory. I don't. It's not important though. The best vampire is Blade.
I agree.
Yeah, in Marvel. I mean, shit. A bunch of a lot of Marvel readers agree. There's a ton of vampires in Marvel. So if you want to read vampire comic stories.
Oh, you're saying it to the people.
Yeah, check out some of those Marvel titles. Yeah, I don't think you would. Some of them, they're like, maybe those Blade stories you might be interested in.
I'll just watch the movie.
Yeah. The Blade, man, again, this is something that if anybody knows me, like, they know I like Blade. The first Blade movie is so tough. I mainly like it because of how it looks, though. Like, me too. The way the movie looks, I don't know why, it looks so cool to me. There's some movies that they made, like, in the 2000s. I think it's like, I think they're like John Woo inspired. Like, if you look, and I'm kind of talking to the audience, but these... Yeah, I just looked at an invisible camera and just shook my head like, I don't know what the fuck it is. A lot of movies in the early 2000s and like late 90s, they were kind of biting off like John Woo movies. So like, I'll use for an example, The Matrix. The Matrix is fully inspired. That bullet time shit is inspired by John Woo. I'm trying to think of another movie that kind of jacks that look that maybe you might know. But Blade, if you ever seen Black Mass with Jet Li, that's kind of like John Woo inspired. It might be John Woo who made it. I don't know. But they look like they have this look to them, and Blade has that look. I love Blade, and I haven't seen it in years, and I was probably too innocent to be watching Blade. But my dad, he's a sci-fi geek. Yeah. And he loves the sci-fi movies, and that was one that he watched, and probably primarily, I don't even think it's primarily because he was black. I know that Blade is black, like actually black in comics, but I think it's just like my dad read comic books and all that shit growing up, so I'm pretty sure he was like, "Oh, bitch, it's a fucking Blade movie. Yeah, I'm in there." Like we had the DVD. I think we had the Matrix 1, 2. Yeah. But we definitely had that Blade DVD, and it was on enough. Like I can images are flashing in my head. I would love to watch it now as an adult, especially the kind of adult I am and the era of adultness that I'm in right now. Era's the word of the night, people. But I would love to watch. Let's watch Blade. Sweet, I'm with that 110%. But I'm already thinking I got the movie in my head like a lot, so I'm just like I'm seeing the images. I'm just like, me too. The way this movie looks. Some of the like when he would drop into some room or whatever, like he would drop from the ceiling or wherever he was from, or that scene in a club where it's like rain just pouring down. I meant blood pouring down. Exactly. Like it's like that blue hue to the room and all that kind of shit. Exactly. Yeah, man. That's all. That's like James Cameron. James Cameron puts like a hue to his movie. They kind of probably. I mean, there's certain directors that use certain things that are like known for doing certain things that other directors started doing because that one director did that thing. So that's kind of where it came from, just to get your backstory, and not that it's, and also the audience. But, I love the way, absolutely, you just named like two great, perfect scenes that like, it's very stylized. I like all the costumes, like every costume like fits the character. Like the black girl that's in it, her costume, she kind of like, she looks sexy, but also kind of like innocent, like, not just like in but it's a reflection of her character. Like, she just everybody she's the way they look, vanilla or not new, but she's very green. And like to it all, like Blade's costumes design and like everybody like the whole look of the movie. Yeah, that white guy's very fresh in my head. Him the way, and his shirt and shit. It's just there was these movies that they made in the 2000s. Well. They just did done so well. They look so well, and I think they did a good job with Blade. And it's good that we're going to see it. I don't know if it'll be as good as the first one. The first one I like a lot. I guess they should bring that back to theaters. Y'all, movie theaters need to hire me to come up with with a list, because y'all be putting stupid shit in the fucking like what like. Bambi, I never really watched it, and I don't even know if it's been in theaters, but I don't know. But Bambi would be enough. It was for the 35th. No, nobody wants to see fucking Bambi in theaters for the 35th anniversary. We want to see The Wiz in the fucking movie theater for the 35th anniversary. Well, it's way past. And we did we did go to a drive-in. We did go to a drive-in to see The Wiz, but that was, a black-owned drive-in movie theater. But that goes to show you that there are some movie theater, whatever, owners and shit that have some kind of sense that they're going to... I want to see it in IMAX. I honestly want to see it live, but most of those people are dead. Most of the main characters are dead. That would be pretty cool. Whatever. I love The Wiz. Yeah, I do too. I like The Wiz a lot too. So
I almost said 3D, but that's excessive. I don't need to see the Wiz in 3D.
Yeah, 3D, bro. And I just...
okay, so hear me out. I would like there to be some like interactive ride. You know those interactive rides, but it's like you're like VR. VR? VR.
AR, VR, whatever.
What's AR?
AR is like augmented reality.
What's the difference?
Like the squid commercial that we seen yesterday. Remember that squid?
Oh, the octopus? That's AR.
Yeah, that's AR.
And VR is you're in it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, VR, where it's like, I'm just imagining like the Emerald City scene. Mm-hmm. And you're like there. You know what I'm saying?
That's tough. That's
the Wiz, when it's the big head.
Yeah, that's
just terrifying, quite honestly.
That's kind of like a missed out, like
the Poppy
franchising thing that
man,
I feel like
hire me.
Quincy should have hopped on that. I'm sure they probably tried. I'm sure they tried. They probably just didn't have enough money to do it.
Well,
now you can
crowdfund it.
Yeah, no, now you can definitely do it. It's VR is very cheap. AR is cheap. Like, yeah, you could do.
I would personally love that, and if I have to make a GoFundMe for me to experience that personally myself and my close loved ones, because the people that I hold near and dear to my heart understand that The Wiz is a musical film. They
probably would have been able
masterpiece.
The closest time he probably could have been able to pull that off was around the time that musical dropped.
What musical?
Didn't they redo
The Wiz Live?
Yeah.
Boo. Boo!
Probably your best bet for like when I...
Man, fuck that. I mean, the people who were in it did great. I don't like some of the modern...
people. Quince out to Q and them's people.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to get to Quincy.
You never know. You can send an email. Somebody might be like, Quincy might want to see this. Or they could just steal your idea and then go to Quincy.
I don't care. That's how much I want this to happen.
Do you care who does it?
I don't. I do care who does it. I don't want I don't want TikTok. You know what I'm saying? I don't want TikTok to do it. I would want, Quincy Jones and people who had a hand in creating this to be the ones to have a say. Like when there's biopics or biopics, whatever the fucking word is. Like if they did a Prince biopic, then Prince's people need to be involved. The estate of Prince needs to be involved. Like don't just be making shit up. Like how Prince is dead. But Wendy Williams, her movie, she was very much involved with that. So whatever, but I would love to experience that because it's just so amazing. I wasn't alive at the time when The Wiz was on Broadway, with that original cast with Stephanie Mills, but even Diana Ross in the movie. I mean, it's just really great. Diana Ross isn't my favorite character in The Wiz, the movie, but it is probably one of my top 3 favorite movies to watch. Thanks to my mother, who, comes from a musical family and everything, that I fucking love musicals or the concept of musicals. I don't love every musical. Like, I'm not even going to mention Cats. I think Cats is a very different experience, but stuff like, I've never seen Jersey Boys. I still haven't seen Wicked. Like, there's a lot of them that I haven't seen. In the Heights is about to be a movie. I did see that on Broadway. It was really good, but it's very, it was Hamilton before Hamilton, with lots of brown people on stage doing quick, slow, hip hop, Broadway, whatever stuff. It's I really appreciate that, but whatever. Point is, I want The Wiz virtual reality.
Yeah, we got
the
that
ride. I'll pay $1,000 for it if I have to.
Got
I'm lying. I would not do that. I would just miss out.
VR ride where you go to Galaxy's Edge. So that's pretty much what you're trying to get.
Yeah, but I'm just imagining you're on the yellow brick road and
that's how it is.
The scarecrow just passes right by you. Because I've gotten on those 3D rides where it was like a dinosaur thing and it was fucking terrifying. We're being chased by a T-Rex. It was right in my fucking face. God, that was terrifying. But it was so good because I was right there. But I need that for The Wiz. And I feel like maybe 100 years from now, that's how we'll be watching movies anyway. Well, I won't be here. I'm not trying to be here in 100 years. Because I would love my eternal rest. But I can imagine that, that's something in the future. That's something that better happen in the fucking future. We better not still be sitting here on our fucking couches watching movies.
I mean, they already...
I'm saying the average, you're going to the movie theater. It's not a sit down, watch a movie theater. That's not going to be the usual. It's going to be a VR headset. Or everybody, you just bring your VR headset to come watch this movie. Plug in this number or this code or whatever to watch this film. and you'll just be in this room, or you'll be in your own little box or some shit like that. Like on Daria, when it was that ride and it was like the night thing and they all were on their own little treadmill thing, like that kind of shit. Like, yeah, I doubt anybody who would have a hand in that kind. I don't know. There's a lot of people who are involved in a lot of cool stuff that are, amongst us common folk every day. But I would love to see that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool if we had more, like, of those VR things. A Wiz one would be amazing.
That would be so fucking cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Like the fucking Munchkins, the Poppies. Man, I love that Poppy song. I work out to it. We're also watching Game of Thrones. You're watching it again. Mm-hmm. I'm watching it for the first time. And I have expressed to you on numerous occasions how fucking through I am with this series. I think we're on season 7.
Yeah.
So the first 3 seasons, I was like all in, staying up late. Like you would pass out and I would be up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning trying to finish the season. And I'm so mad I did that because now I don't want to watch it. Or don't want to watch it, but I'm not as drawn into it anymore.
You don't want to watch it because of where the show is going, or because you're like thronesed out?
I don't think I'm thronesed out.
Okay.
Because I'm not Great British Baking showed out.
It's just to show where the show is going.
I think it's where the show is going. So my personal thoughts, and they're probably not grounded in reality, but it's probably not a real thing, but I'm just now seeing Arya and Sansa having some sense of control and power over maybe their situation. Like Cersei kinda was, and this isn't like some feminist take, although it could be taken as that, but I just felt like Arya and Sansa, they weren't really getting it. It just took too long for me personally for them to be able to get to the point that they are in. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, sorry, spoilers, I guess maybe. This is one of those shows, like, it's been long enough that you can Google it and you can watch the whole show now. Like, I'm binge watching it.
It's also a book.
It's also a book. So yeah, there's that too. So there were already spoilers before the show was even a thing. But yeah, I just been waiting for that to happen. And I know your argument was like they're children, but I'm like, all of these people are fucking children.
Yeah, that's it. But in their world, they're children and they're women.
Yeah, so fuck that.
But that's why Arya is a character. She's supposed to be like, she's against
She's
that.
pretty androgynous.
Yeah, well, no, not just that. Her nature as a person, not screw like sex in general, but her as a person, from the beginning of her introduction to the character, she's just like, that's not who I am. I'm not about that. Like, this, what society has me set up for, which is like just getting knocked up and, you know what I'm saying, used as like basically like a placeholder for power because it's our last name. And she's the one that's doing the most of the killing. I think, what's her name? She doesn't get into an agency until now.
Yeah,
like,
Sansa.
This season, she plays a major part as far as like, well, you already seen her in the last season. She saved her brother. And she made a call on her own. But that was her first time having any kind of power.
And I just feel like it's too long. Especially for her, because she's clearly older. Mm-hmm. I also don't know how old anybody is. I know Joffrey was probably like 15 when he died. That's it. Yeah. Nobody else is 8. Well, no, Sansa's probably like 16 now. Maybe 16, maybe 17. And I feel like that's pretty grown for that time.
And it ain't even so much that, but it's that she's a lady and that she's been underneath like the rule of some, like a captive. Like, I was always okay with Arya's story because Arya is not gonna be going blow for blow with nobody. Like, it's just, that's why they put her with people and put her in those situations. So, like, you get to see those things, but she's not really doing those things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. I just cared more about Arya than most other people.
You know, he's the Hound's chopping, killing people. We got Arya with her, so you get to see all that shit. But she's not finna be doing that shit. Now she's getting into that lane. You see, because she's gotten old enough and she has enough skill. I think maybe it's just got to do with because it was a book. So it was like, she's not going to be running around doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. I don't know, maybe he wanted to make it realistic. So it would be like some 14-year-old girl who isn't a trained killer, killing people and doing things. or like
I don't even want that
control.
I don't know what I wanted to happen, but it just felt like their stories in particular were not progressing in the same fashion that everybody else's stories were progressing, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing. And I understand that everybody has their own story and everybody in their own time, but it's like, why these two specifically?
But they're all Rickon. Like, Rickon that have...
He's nobody. Exactly.
He is somebody. He's a
But
star.
I don't care about him. They didn't let me care about him. They didn't introduce anything for him. He's just like, oh, he's the little brother. We didn't see him a lot. Was that the same show we were watching? Like, oh, where is he? Or was there another show?
No, it was Rickon.
No, was it Game of Thrones is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like there was another show we were watching, and I'm holding on to you because it's helping me hold on to this thought. You're like an anchor right now.
I understand.
But I feel like there was another show or something else we were watching. We're like, where the fuck is this kid? But I don't remember if it was him.
I'm pretty sure it was him.
I'm gonna believe you.
I'm pretty sure because we were like, because one, you weren't really sure who's who. And
I wasn't, because a lot of the white men look the same, and you warned me of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely got to do with the fact that it's a book and that they were what they were supposed to be in their world, and then that they're supposed to be getting changed. So like in the book,
I understand, coming of age stuff. I get it.
But
I
the book
get
is
it.
supposed to be like
but
a
I don't
lot
like
of internal dialogue and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they probably were like, oh, let's throw this in here. Like, this person's not doing anything, but they're being they're seeing things in the book. You know what I'm saying? So they're explaining. I think that's probably what it was.
Yeah, I mean, Rick, I'm calling him Rick. Little Rick, he was just like, oh, he's our family. We have to care for you. He just seemed like another burden. He didn't really seem to help that much, and I don't like that either. But in the first episode, the first episode, because the first episode, all the episodes are so fucking long. But in the first episode, we see a little bit of Arya. Sansa's clear, like she's the oldest girl, so she's clearly gonna be married off. So there's a little interest there. We know something's gonna happen with her. But like this little boy, he's just like a little boy. That's it. And then the other one was climbing all over the place, and then saw some shit he wasn't supposed to see, and then was supposed to be killed, and then wasn't. Like, there was already something that happened with him. Like, Arya was like, I'm a tomboy. But because she's just one of the coolest people in the cast, in my opinion. Quite honestly.
Easily, I think.
Yeah.
I think she was...
I also, like, I mean, we like Daenerys because her hair is so appealing. Like, it's evident. Like, the way that some characters look like, it's evident she's gonna be, like, the bad bitch. You know what I'm saying? And I know, whatever, the ending. But it's also... I'm also tired. I'm just tired. It's just taking too long. I really feel like maybe they were trying to emulate to the audience. Like, it takes a lot of time for shit to happen in this world, so you're going to experience this too. That's how I'm feeling. Because I feel like we could have cut a season out. Or not cut a season out, like events that happened in a season, but we didn't need this many seasons. We could have ended it here. And not, again, in the events that had happened, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that could have just been taken out. Little shit. It's kind of like...
It's crazy because I feel like
there's not enough.
Not so much that. I feel like maybe because I'm coming from a perspective of knowing about the book, so I feel like they took a lot of stuff out, and then the stuff that they did put in...
doesn't make sense. Well, then maybe that's the missing...
They didn't expand upon.
Excuse me.
So I think that's pretty much what it's... I just don't think that they... The issue with the 8th season is that they rushed through it. Like, they were trying to, like, wrap up all these plot lines. But there's, like, 8 plot lines that were left hanging. So I think it's a macrocosm of that. Like, they just left shit hanging. I don't know. Like, they just didn't... You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see when you get there. You'll be like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Especially, I've started feeling like this since maybe, like, the 5th season. Maybe even the 4th season. I was kind of like, okay, can we hurry this up? Like... I want to see something. Even all the fights, I was kind of like, okay, we get it. People died. / kill. Somebody wins. But the only fight that I really gave a shit about was the Ramsay one.
Battle of the Bastards, yeah.
Sure, yeah. Yes, that is what it's called. Yeah, that one. And, like, I don't even care about the White Walkers one because I feel like I haven't seen it yet. Yeah. Like, I've seen the impact, but I already knew that impact. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're just seeing them being gagged by the impact that the White Walker King, whatever the fuck they are, president of White Walkers has.
It's like a threat that you don't see that often. It's like a...
Right, which is so strange to me because it's like, y'all are so fucking worried. It's like, all summer long for the 10 years that summer lasts or whatever, y'all like we're houses and we fight each other. We're at the ball and we're battling each other. The house of Balenciaga doesn't like the house of Gucci or whatever. They're just fighting all fucking summer. And then like winter's coming. Everybody's shaking their boots. They know winter's coming, which means that the fucking White Walker's coming. So it's like, y'all know that this is a huge threat.
They don't know that the White Walker's coming. They don't even believe in any of that. I mean, they don't believe that. Like Westeros, none of them believe that. Except for people that are beyond the wall that have felt it. And to them, all that creepy, spooky dookie shit is day-to-day life because they live beyond the wall.
Well, now I've been
and that's what, if you like
correctly. Because for me, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers are really scared of White Walkers.
No,
like it was very much like,
no,
these are real things.
They don't believe, like
what's the, well, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Where the white people are.
Right.
Like they believe. They don't believe in any of it. They don't even think any of that exists. They don't believe any of that. They don't believe there's White Walkers. They don't believe there's any of that.
I don't know if this is because people talked about it when it was happening, but I just really had the assumption that everybody was on the same page. That like, yeah, bitch, we all fight during this time, but once them White Workers hit, we all gotta unite.
No, that's what John is. So John is trying to get everybody on that wave, but...
okay, I get it now. Because I'm kind of like, what the fuck is everybody so everybody's so proud and so okay, I get it now.
They don't no Westerosi. They don't believe it because one, winter has never come this far. It's never gotten past the wall. It's never gone past north, right? So historically, Northerners know winter can get bad. And then like, remember when Nan was telling what's the name those stories? She's saying that these are the stories that were passed down from like my great.
Oh, okay.
When it like, I don't know if you remember, but after he fell, she was in the room telling like, he's like, I don't want to hear none of those stories. And then she's like, oh, do you want to hear the stories about kids getting snatched out of the kid in the middle of the night and winter's so cold that this and that, like, yeah, like that's the shit I'm into, whatever. But they know, Northerners know just because of historically, just like how anything is passed down. Yeah. But do all Northerners believe that this is going on? No. It's kind of like how aliens are. Like some people have had some kind of interaction. Which is foolish to believe that aliens don't exist, in my opinion. We can't be the only things that exist in this universe. I mean, I agree, but whatever. Like some people just, none of their past experiences have any, exactly. So I can kind of understand why somebody they deserve to die. Like, if somebody is telling me that this thing is coming and they're like very adamant about it, I'm gonna listen to what they have to say to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna, especially if it's somebody that is reputable. Like now, if Jon Snow, hey, I don't know. Think about it. If you're a Lord of Westeros, right? Some bastard. Right, so he's completely out of our system. He's no like Night's Watch. He was in the Night's Watch, and then he got kicked out the Night's Watch. He left the Night's Watch. Remember, after he got killed, he ended up
because he came back to life.
He came back to life, right? And they're saying the nigga he came back to life. Like you would probably be like, I don't know. Think if you were just some person that I've always had everything. Yeah, you would probably be like, I don't know, bro.
And then find myself as a White Walker the next episode.
But it just kind of depends. Like, you haven't had no experience before where it's like,
Well, I know nothing about the show anymore then because I was really under the assumption that all these people knew, like, bitch, they're coming. It's coming. Yeah, no. John's been telling them. What's the name? He reads and he knows those stories. Tyrion, he knew the stories. He didn't believe it, and then he's seen it, and then he believed it. I didn't believe. I would read stories about dragons. I didn't believe dragons existed. I didn't believe magic existed anymore because nobody's seen magic anymore. So, I'm up to my neck. What's magical is that y'all's dirty asses are still alive.
Yeah.
And all I keep thinking is like these people stink, but yeah, that's Game of Thrones. Yeah. What else have we been watching? I mean, and we haven't watched Game of Thrones in weeks. And I'm not mad about it.
I don't think there's anything else that we've been consistently watching. I mean, Hell's Kitchen, but that's like our day. Like, that's normal. Like, we pretty much.
Man, we could do a whole, what's the name on Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah, a whole record episode on
Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. Kitchen, just Gordon Ramsay.
Kitchen Nightmares, yeah.
The legacy that is Gordon Ramsay.
And that fucking head, that Modoc head.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I guess that is all we're watching. And then the Great British Baking Show. We watch a good amount of SpongeBob. I mean, a lot of stuff that we watch is like time pass. I mean, we've been watching our courses, quite honestly. Well, you have a lot more than I have mine. But yeah, I mean, is there anything that you want to watch next? We keep up with Castlevania. We were watching Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah, but I think you said you weren't really feeling it like that.
That's a lie.
I could have sworn you said you weren't really. I mean, I'm not opposed to watching it. I probably did say it though.
No, I liked it.
I'm not opposed to watching it.
I think there was another anime we were watching. I can't remember. I would like to watch Demon Slayer. I see a lot of people talk about it. Yeah. I like the green and black checkered thing. It's called me. Oh, we were watching Soul Eater. Have you watched Soul Eater before?
No, I watched Soul Eater.
Okay, well, we were watching that because I had watched it before. Mm-hmm. So we can pick that back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Soul Eater.
I do too. I love that show. It's one of the first anime that I watched to completion.
It's not rife with fucking tropes. That's kind of my thing. Like, I can't deal with animes. Like, I just feel like it's such a good. You could do so much with anime, right? You can tell all kinds of different stories. It could be far out and as simple as you want it to be.
Food Wars.
Food Wars. There you go. That's a good example in response to what I'm saying. But I'm just tired of seeing the same things in fucking anime. It's just, I'm on the verge of losing my mind. I can't deal with any more of like, my dad had a secret life and he was like a demon and I have all his powers now.
Yeah, lots of demons.
Or my friend, or is he my friend? He's my rival.
Yeah. Or, like High School Girl.
Yeah, Lancers, yeah. Or like I love High School Girl, but yeah, that's what they're supposed to be called, like Lancers. I'm just tired, like just a lot. It's just a lot. I'm just tired of seeing the same things.
Well, we'll finish whatever we're watching now,
right,
and we'll look for some new stuff.
Okay.
Because I follow the weebs now. And they're women, although a lot of them like to read yaoi. Yeah, a lot of them like to read that.
I was gonna recommend a YouTube account to you where she goes over like different mangas and reviews manga and stuff.
Yes.
And yaoi and everything.
Yeah, a lot of them watch that, but I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I trust women more than men. Which is super binary, but I trust black women the most. Especially the quirkier and queerer they are, the more I trust their like thoughts and opinions and their views on things than people who aren't. But I can see what things that like they suggest, but they of course Naruto. A lot of them watch Demon Slayer. You like JoJo's. There's the new one. I don't know if it's new, but new-ish, Jujutsu Kaisen. I was interested in watching that one, so maybe we can watch that together. But that's pretty much what they've been really obsessed with. And I think there's a new Sailor Moon, so we could look at that. Although I never even finished the original. But
you know what? I kind of did like an overview on Sailor Moon, and I realized that you don't have to watch all of Sailor Moon because that's all the same thing over and over again. Yeah, most of it.
It's very Scooby Doo.
Like small pockets of it connecting to the overarching story. Yeah,
it's very Scooby Doo in that sense.
Yeah, you could probably like look online and watch like a summary of it and get like everything.
I would love to do that.
And it's essentially just, I don't know. I like it. I don't know.
Like that video about the guy who covered all the Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Like I would love something
exactly like that. Yeah, you could get that ring it off real quick. Like Sailor Moon's a really simple story, but they just stretched it out to like a really long time.
Really long time.
Sailor Moon's like a short story worth of a story. Like literally, you could, like, remember literature class? Like a short, like that story of Sailor could be summarized in that. I was a moon princess in another life, and I died, and then
I came back
as another girl, and then I have powers. I can go through time,
and there's a bunch of us.
And my life is cylinder, and I just end up being the moon princess.
Like reincarnation. Pretty much. That was in Vampire Diaries. The same couple kept getting reincarnated.
Yeah, that's it.
But they were vampires, so it was like.
How did you die?
No. You don't want to watch Vampire Diaries. And that's what drew me into the show. It's still very much like a teen drama, but the vampire werewolf? Were there werewolves? I can't remember which, like that lore and like the lineage and the history and all that kind of stuff is in the show. So that was really cool. But in Vampire Diaries, the couple kept being reincarnated every like era or something. But the guy was a vampire. And so I don't even know if he was being... I don't remember anymore. I just know that they did the black woman really shitty. The Black Witch. Bonnie deserves justice. She died so many times for them. And then in her last... Like, in the end, she was, like, between the spirit world and the human world. For these fucking people. She died so many times for them. She was human. She was a witch. And it was so much labor put on this black woman who her ancestry and her, you know, the witches, they're like, we don't trust these fucking vampires. But because of her friendship with the girls and who this guy she fell in love with and all that kind of stuff, it's also really crazy. Like, all these people were in high school. And it's also really gross and weird that it's like, it's that same thing with like Twilight, or any vampire romance story where it's like, there are minors, usually the girl is a minor who falls in love with a vampire who is 17, but really 400 or thousands of years old. And it's kind of just like, that's not the same life experience at all. Like, in reality, that's not the same life experience at all. The way that a vampire would approach life and the way that a 17-year-old girl would approach life would be completely different. Just because you're stuck at that age doesn't mean you're stuck at that mindset. But I enjoyed the Vampire Diaries, which led to the Originals, which was about the original vampires, which led to Legacies, who was the hybrid daughter of one of the original vampires and like some werewolf. Which is what I was watching, which I need to catch up on. But if you would like to watch Vampire Diaries you probably would have watched the Originals more so than the Vampire Diaries, because the Originals is not a high school story, where the Vampire Diaries is set in high school. They do go to college eventually, but I mean, it's all really good. I think it's good. I think you'd be annoyed with some things, but
it sounds a lot like True Blood to me.
I couldn't get through True Blood.
True Blood started off where it was like a mess, where it was like people doing, and then it turned into like pixies and witches and like vampires.
Yeah, we didn't get pixies and Vampire Diaries. It very much was strict to vampires, werewolves, witches.
Oh, I'm sorry, not pixies, fairies. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm offended somebody because...
Either way, there are no pixies or fairies or elves or anything in that trilogy of shows.
All kinds of werewolves.
So do I need to skip ahead? Because I was watching True Blood. I really was trying. It was too much sex.
I think it depends. I didn't watch, man. You know who watched True Blood? Jay watched True Blood pretty tough. I didn't really watch it like that.
I just couldn't.
Some parts of it, and then
maybe I can get back into it. This may be a show where I had to take a break from it, but I personally would love to watch the Vampire Diaries Originals and Legacies with you. Mm-hmm. But I understand if that's not your cup of tea.
Yeah, I would have to know like what the themes and shit are, like if I would even enjoy it. Like,
I mean, underlying.
But I would have to see it. Like,
yeah, I mean, the Vampire Diaries. It's like Elena, who she goes between these two brothers who are vampires, and like she falls in love. Like she's supposed to be with one because of the reincarnation. Or maybe she's always reincarnated, but she falls in love with the other brother. And quite honestly, I wish there was a third option because I don't give a shit about either of them as a partner. And honestly, that, like the whole human part of it, like all that shit, I really didn't give a shit about. Very CW in that way. But with the vampire, like, oh, the vampire, these people are bad, they're coming for us, or I'm actually like a ripper and I have to keep my humanity on so I'm not ripping all these people's heads off and just being whatever. Like, all of that was pretty cool. But, and that's what makes it bearable. And that's what, I also did have to take a break from that show too. And I took a break from the Originals, but the Originals is clearly the better of the three in the trilogy of shows. So it's fine to start with the Originals because you're not really lost on... It's a spinoff that is successfully its own show. Like, it doesn't draw too much on the original show. And I think you would like the Originals. It seems like the adult or the parent, or the mature version of the Vampire Diaries.
episode, we can say how I felt about it.
Yeah, maybe we can watch it. Yeah, maybe we can watch a YouTube video, just sort of like a summary that doesn't have too many spoilers in it, and you'll see how you feel about it.
Yeah, that'd be best.
But I think we've talked enough. I think this was a good. Yeah, I think this is a good episode. So we're gonna wrap things up. So, I mean, this concludes the pilot first episode of A Couple Opinions podcast.
Yes. And a very good first episode at that. Did you want to say? Did you share your social? Or did you want to?
I didn't. So if you want to follow me on social media, on Instagram and Twitter, I am the Busy Bee. So the TheBizibi. On Twitter and Instagram, I do have a YouTube channel, just Busy Bee without the word the. I'm also on Twitch, the Busy Bee, again, spelled the same as Twitter and Instagram. And I think I also have a Facebook like page. I don't really do too much with that, but also Busy Bee there.
And on Instagram and Twitch, Fireworld at PHIWRLD. I think that's pretty much it. It's just all one word. And you can reach me on both of those with that.
Yeah. So if you want to share, your thoughts or comments about anything that we talked about, feel free to hit us up. Both of us, just one of us, whatever.